Welcome back to Wake Up America. So the federal government shut down for 9 days now. The Senate voting a sixth time Wednesday, though, could not get to 60 votes to pass the continuing resolution to keep the government open.
Yeah, Americans are starting to experience the effects now of this shutdown. I'm talking delays at many major airports. No one wants that.
Nope.
For more on this and when this shutdown will end, Oklahoma Senator James Lankford is joining us this morning. Senator, great to see you. All right, first things first, is there any real movement from Democrats suggesting they're ready to end this shutdown?
There is a little bit of movement. I'll take some movement at all at this point. They continue to be able to shut the government down and cause the chaos across the country like they've caused chaos in their own party. So now there's some conversation about, okay, what if we get on appropriation bills? What if we start actually pulling some other things together, which are things we have wanted to do all along? Literally, the continuing resolution that came out of the House was, let's keep the government open while we negotiate. Now some Democrats are finally saying, okay, well, let's start negotiating and then we'll keep the government open. We're like, sounds very, very familiar. So we're hopeful that in the next 48 hours we might have some breakthrough. I'm hopeful most often, because I'm an optimistic person anyway, civilian federal workers are not going to get paid this Friday. Military members are not going to get paid next Wednesday. We're now at a critical moment. The president is using tariff dollars to be able to prop up the women, infants, and children fund that's out there. IRS agents have been furloughed, so people aren't answering the phone over at the IRS. I mean, there's all kinds of issues that are all around the country right now. It is time for Democrats to finally come on board and to say, okay, let's keep the government open. This is ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's been reported that multiple off-ramps have been offered to Democrats here, and possibly even to extend some of the Obamacare subsidies, but not until they reopen the government. Are you getting any sense that Democrats are getting on board with any of these plans to just get this thing open again?
I would expect at the end of the day, Chuck Schumer, whatever happens among Democrats in the Senate, Chuck Schumer will still vote against it. He has dug in and is trying to be able to appease a very far left progressive base that has been after him because he's not been fighting enough against Trump. And so now his goal is to show he's fighting against Trump, is to be able to keep checks from federal workers and from members of our military. In fact, Chuck Schumer even said yesterday, things are getting better for Democrats each day. I was like, yeah, they're getting better for you politically while they're getting worse for the members of our military. That again, just frames exactly what's going on in this political fight.
Yeah, it's wild. And as you can imagine, we've talked a lot about this shutdown with a lot of your colleagues, both in the House and Senate, over the last few weeks. They're not sure when this shutdown might end, but they've mentioned the nationwide No Kings protest that's set for October 18th. So is all of this just theatrics to galvanize the radical Democrat base leading up to these protests? What's the goal for Democrats here?
Well, I can't tell what the goal is other than just to show they're fighting against President Trump. Whatever President Trump is for, they're against. That's why you see even some Democrats trying to criticize the deal with trying to end the war in Gaza with Hamas and with Israel. Because whatever he's for, they're going to be against just over and over and over again. The No Kings rally, I've asked the very simple question. If your goal is to keep it closed until the No Kings rally happens and all the progressives come to Washington, D.C. and protest, then when are you going to open the government after that? Are you going to try to keep it closed for 18 days at that point and then suddenly pop it back open? It doesn't make any sense to real Americans that are not looking through some activist leftist lens. They're just looking at it with their own paychecks, their families, the people down the street that they know that are federal employees, or they're trying to call a federal office and to be able to get a permit and they can't get it. And they understand this is all about the left trying to be able to appease their activist base.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Senator, I want to shift gears now, talk about the first phase of the Trump-brokered Gaza peace deal that's now in motion, and just get your reaction to the president's success so far of actually maybe getting peace in the Middle East.
Yeah, I had a one-word post last night when this came out. It was just the word hallelujah. Listen, if there's an opportunity for those hostages to be able to come home back to their families, it just makes all of us tear up and get excited to say they have waited for 2 very long years. Those hostages have been through unimaginable suffering in the last 2 years. Let's get them home. Next step is Hamas cannot lead Gaza. This has been very clear in the Trump peace plan. We got to get Hamas out of that region and to be able to have other Arab nations step up and say, we will help clean up the mess that is Gaza right now, is a huge gain in this process. So we're ready for step one that could come as soon as this weekend when hostages start getting released. Then we need to see the bodies of the hostages that they murdered actually coming back home to their families to be properly buried. So there are multiple steps that are here, but I'm so ready for step one for this weekend to see some of those hostages get out of that captivity.
Yeah, many of us feeling your sentiments. Hallelujah that this is finally happening. All right, Senator James Lankford, great to see you this morning. Thank you.
You bet. Good to see you all again.